Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So guys, today we have Richtoff soloing Dragon Stage 25. Now the most important part of this, or a pretty significant part for me at least, is no books required, which is very cool because he takes a decent amount of books if you wanted to book him out fully. Now if you do book him, it may speed your runtime up a little bit because you will have more damage from the A1, you'll have more damage and a cooldown reduction from the A2, which places the poison, help you kill the dragon a little bit faster, 3-turn cooldown, absolutely amazing. And the A3 also more damage and some cooldown reduction, but honestly, we don't really need the books because I've done basically 100%. I'll show you guys the breakdown of the numbers once we get through everything, but if you want to book him, go ahead. But if you're like me and you're kind of low on books most of the time, then don't worry about booking him, okay? I'd rather save it for champion who needs it more. Now, Richtoff can solo Dragon Stage 25. He can do Ice Golem Stage 23. And Ice Golem Stage 23, for my build, is not going to work. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But personally, I didn't want to build him for Ice Golem Stage 23. I'd rather farm Ice Golem on Stage 24 or Stage 25. So 23 wasn't that interesting to me. If you guys want to see it, or honestly just take the build I have, throw in 300 resistance instead of the resistance that I have, and you should be perfectly fine. But let me open up some pictures to show you guys. And this is basically some builds that I did that these were actually pretty bad. So I want to show you guys where the gear wasn't working and then compare it to where the gear was working. So maybe you can't get it to exactly where I have it at now, but maybe you can get it somewhere between that, okay? You can kind of try to reach as close to the numbers to get you as close to 100% as possible. So this build right here, you can see that it is a 72% success rate. We have good resistance, we have good accuracy, we have pretty good defense, okay speed, and then the HP is a little bit low. Now, checking out the Masteries, I think the Masteries, this one little change actually made a significant impact. So let me go to close this real quick. I have the Masteries one opened up. Okay, here it is. It's over here. So the Masteries we have set up right now are support and offense. So we have the extra speed from Whirlwind of Death. We had the Oppressor. We had the extra speed from Spirit Haste. We had all pretty good speed focused Masteries. This is what my gear looked like before. And remember, this is the one that had the 70% success rate. So this is not really what you want to see. This is not the current build, but I want to give you an idea of where it was before I changed it up and made it actually very, very close to 100% success. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. Richtoff still doing great. This second wave is the one where I think any losses would come from if any losses were to happen. But I got it to a point now where I've not seen him lose. RSL Helper did say he lost one, so I'll show you guys that right now. Let me pull this up. So this is the 50 of 50. So this is the one that he's currently built in. So if you're looking at how to currently build your Richtoff, this is how it is. So we see 50 out of 50, 100%. And then I ran another 71 and it failed one time. So basically 100%, 99.2% success. So very, very solid. So here you can see that he has 74,000 HP. So more HP than the previous screenshot, a little bit less defense, about the same speed, but no resistance. So a champion soloing a dungeon, stage 25, with no resistance is a pretty impressive thing. So if you take the resistance off of him, you're going to need more defense, you're going to need more HP to kind of balance out the extra damage he's going to be taking if there's any decreased defense placed or anything like that. But the more significant impact, in my opinion, was this right here. So the Mastery setup. You may be able to try the previous build with this Mastery setup. I believe I tried that. I don't think it worked, but this Mastery setup was so incredibly helpful. This is the exact gear I have. I'll try to start, like I said, leaving some screenshots. So if you're watching this video down the road and there's a link down below, I'll try to update all the videos, but there may be a link to a full compiled list of all the champions doing solos and solo builds and their gear needed. But for right now, just take a screenshot of this. If you're interested in it, I'll hide my webcam real quick. But this is the build that's working very, very well. Like I said, 99% success rate. These Masteries were so helpful. The Shadow Heal actually does heal in the second wave. The second wave of Dragon has an enemy who does cast some heals, and whenever he casts some heals, he actually heals Richtoff based on a percentage of his HP. So it works out very, very well having that Shadow Heal ability. These are all the pieces of gear I have. So I have some speed in my weapon. I have some, well, guys can see this, okay? You can see all the rolls basically. I'll click through his gear once we finish this. And then this is where all of his stats are coming from. Empowerment, nothing from there. Faction Guardians, they're very, very low. I think I have the first two filled out. But essentially, just try for these stats and you should have a very successful run rate. Now, if you want to push it for Ice Golem Stage 23, I don't think you can do 24 or 25, or it's going to be very difficult if you could. You're going to want to get him to 300 resistance. Let me show you guys what Ice Golem looks like. Let me bring my webcam back real quick. So we see success. 3 minutes and 5 seconds. The overall average, let me see what it was. This is the one where he actually failed once. So he failed once. I should have screenshotted it sooner, so it would have been 100% success. But unfortunately, he ran over. I walked away from my PC, came back, and he got that one fail, which ruined the perfect run rate. But I'll share it with you guys like this anyways. So 3 minutes on average there, not a bad time whatsoever. And then on the other one, it was a 2 minutes and 20-second average run time. It was maybe because of the frame rate, I guess. I don't know why there's such a big difference there. I mean, it's like a 40-second difference. That's pretty significant. Now let's come over here to Ice Golem Stage 23 real quick, and I want to show you guys. So while we're doing Stage 23 is because it is Force Affinity. Richtoff being a champion who can't really sustain himself. He has no self-heals other than Regeneration and Immortal Gear. So other than that, he can't sustain himself. So doing Stage 24 and 25, the stages that are not Weak Affinity or anything like that, they're Strong Affinity or they're Neutral Affinity. So it makes it difficult for him to actually do those stages, unlike a champion like Bad L, maybe champions like Earlgrim, maybe champions like anybody who has self-sustain, like some self-heals, some continuous heals, whatever it may be. But here, these bomb debuffs, because I don't have resistance on him, those bomb debuffs wreck me. They absolutely destroy me. So if you built your Richtoff high enough to resist those bombs, I'd say probably 260 accuracy, 260 resistance would probably be fine, because the waves, I believe, have a little bit less accuracy than the boss. But Ice Golem also has the interesting thing where the two side adds, one does a heal reduction, I believe, and one does a decreased defense. So you're going to want to push Richtoff to at least 300 resistance if you want to solo Stage 23 of Ice Golem consistently, because if one of those adds or those side, helper people, whatever it's called, side enemies, if they apply that heal reduction or if they apply the decreased defense, you're going to be absolutely destroyed. Now, it's kind of funny that I've tested this a few times now, and every single time I've tested it, he gets bombs landed on him and just dies. So it figures that the one time I'm doing the video, he's not going to fail. But if the bombs land on him, he's going to die. He's just going to get destroyed by the bombs. He is resisting them right now, which is kind of surprising. But you can see with RSL Helper that the gear he currently has right over here is the exact same gear that I had earlier. So this 73 out of 80 run rate, a lot of those, it's not because of running Dragon still. It's just picking up the runs that I did within Ice Golem. So ignore all the stuff down at the bottom. But this is the exact same gear that I had earlier, the exact same Masteries and everything, same screenshot, exact same information. But I'm curious, okay, right here, this is what I'm talking about. This is where everything just falls apart. Both these bombs go off and he just dies. He just can't survive through all those bombs. Too much damage, and there we go. So get some resistance on him if you want to farm Ice Golem Stage 23. You shouldn't have any issues whatsoever doing that. Let me go over to actually look at that as champion. But the biggest difference for me was whenever I switched his Masteries from going the offense side with the Whirlwind of Death and extra speed into the defense side. So this extra defense, very, very nice. He has a pretty low base defense anyways, 925. So any extra base defense you can get is going to be all the better. So the next thing was reducing the damage from AoE attacks. Since he's doing Dragon Stage 25 and he's Strong Affinity, they can't crit him anyways, as far as I'm aware. So getting this wouldn't actually help that much. Now, if you could do something where you're Neutral Affinity, it may be of benefit to you. I also have Rejuvenation, which is very, very good because it does increase the healing from Immortal sets plus Regeneration. Now, I didn't test it without Immortal. You may be able to do it without Immortal, but you may need to boost your HP up just a little bit and maybe your defense as well. If you're taking away from any extra healing, if you're taking away from any defense, boost up your HP, boost up survivability, make it make sense, maybe boost up a little extra speed, because right now, he's fairly slow, to be honest. Looking at the rest of his Masteries, Shadow Heal, very, very helpful in that second wave. This ability may not be that helpful, but nothing really better in this road to take. Retribution, not really a significant part of the run, to be honest, I don't think. Some counterattacks are nice, but he doesn't really take these big hits very often. And then over here, you don't have to go the extra accuracy. If you can get enough accuracy, go extra HP. You can definitely use the extra HP more than the extra accuracy. So to be honest, with my current build, I could probably just swap that out, go the extra HP, stay at like 200 accuracy, which is all you really need, and then be perfectly fine. So I would definitely try to be at as close to 75,000 HP, as close to 3,000 defense. 239 speed seems to be perfectly fine. I wouldn't go too much lower, but if you can go higher, that should be perfectly fine as well. And then 200 accuracy at least. And then as far as resistance, well, I have basically irrelevant resistance. It doesn't really matter until you're about 300, so keep that in mind. Then Masteries, let's go ahead and finish these out. A little extra accuracy, so an extra 4 per enemy alive. So you could calculate that into your numbers, maybe even run a little bit less accuracy. But keep in mind, when you get to the dragon, you're going to have only 4 extra accuracy. So I guess you could be, 196. So it doesn't really give that much extra wiggle room. But here we got some extra turn meter boosting whenever poisons expire. We have Lore of Steel, little extra HP boosting from the Immortal set. We have this ability, Cycle of Magic and Evil Eye. I didn't really know which one to take. Both of them have some value. Cycle of Magic makes the most sense, I think, on the Dragon Boss and then throughout the runs, because it actually gives me a chance to reset the cooldown on that poison ability, helping to speed up the runs. Obviously, Spirit Haste is very needed. Master Hexer, extend the duration of the poisons, very good, especially for the dragon. And then Oppressor. Oppressor allows you to run a little bit slower speeds because you're getting turn meter fill based on your poisons. And since you have so many poisons out, you're going to have that 10% turn meter fill all the time, no problem whatsoever. So this Mastery setup, I really like it. If you can make it more tanky, you maybe will go the offense side instead, maybe, but I really don't see the benefit because my success rate going down the defense and support tree was significantly higher than my success rate going down the offense and support tree. Now, what do we have here? Raid is trying to offer me some legendary books because I mentioned earlier in the video that I don't like using my books. Now, I have a big question. Why is Kale reading a legendary book? The number one tip I give to new players or players in general is to never give rare champions a legendary book. And here Plarium goes and gives the rare champion a legendary book. Guys, what kind of world are we living here? What is this? But this is actually a really good deal, I think, right? This is a pretty good deal. 10 legendary tomes, 12 epic tomes, 16 rare tomes for $50. I mean, unless you're free to play, I don't know. This is not too bad. What do my books look like right now? I'm not going to buy it, I don't think. But, I mean, definitely not because Kale is reading a legendary book. That's a really weird picture, to be honest. Unless legendary Kale's coming out. Is that some leaks for legendary Kales? But that's irrelevant to this video, guys. Now, this is a good deal. This mini mix pack, very, very good deal in my opinion. Especially if you're working on your Great Hall, which I imagine most of you are. But with all that said, guys, thank you all very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see any other champion tested out in the solo champion content and stuff, test it out and see if they can get consistent run rates, definitely drop their names down below. I'll test them out. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.